One of the most important factors in an athlete's performance that is often overlooked is nutrition. What an athlete eats pre, post, and during exercise can have a major effect on their performance. Some examples of performance-improving nutrients include, but are not limited to, carbohydrates, electrolytes, sodium, and caffeine. In the original research article that I chose, the purpose of the study was to see how different nutrition strategies affect an athlete's performance during long-lasting endurance competitions. Now let's get into the study. Haley Wittenberg, the leader of the study, composed a group of 18 trained cyclists and triathletes, 16 of which were men and the other 2 were women. Then, those 18 athletes were divided into 2 groups. The first group, known as Group S, used a scientifically given nutrition strategy that they got during their first laboratory measurement. And the second group, known as Group A, used a nutrition strategy that they created themselves. Group S was given 2 carbohydrate powders known as CP1 and CP2. Both powders were relatively the same except for CP2 including more magnesium and caffeine, which is shown in Table 2. Group S was not allowed to eat solid food, but on the other hand, Group A was. Group A could choose whatever food they wanted to eat pre, post, and during exercise. A few examples of what they would eat are protein bars, energy drinks, and gels. For this experiment, there were 4 trials all the subjects had to do each day, and each athlete was allowed to choose their own road bike. First was a 20-minute warm-up, followed by an incremental cycling ergometer test using spirometry, which is a test measuring lung function. Then there was a 30-minute rest. After that was a 2.5-hour endurance exercise that must be completed at the same speed for the entire course. Next was a 5-minute break, quickly followed by a 40-mile time trial on the cycling ergometer, trying to obtain the shortest time possible. An ergometer is a tool that is used to measure energy expended during a period of exercise. Last is another 30-minute rest. Both investigations took place under the same condition at the same time of day. For the S group, CP1 was given to the athletes during the warm-up, incremental cycling ergometer test, the first 30-minute rest, part of the 2.5-hour endurance exercise, and the 40-mile time trial, while CP2 was only given during the first 30 minutes of the 2.5-hour endurance exercise. After 2 weeks of completing these trials, the groups then switched nutrition strategies. To make sure there was no learning curve, all subjects had to write down their self-chosen nutrition strategy before the first test. The results of the study were not shocking at all, showing that the S group completed the 40-mile time trial 8 minutes faster than Group A, which was possibly the factor that caused a higher mean heart rate in Group S. Since Group S had specific amounts of fluids they had to drink during set periods of time, this resulted in more fluids consumed by Group S. The urinary specific gravity increased notably in Group A, since a higher specific gravity means you are dehydrated. Which makes sense because unlike in Group S, there was no one to stay on top of the athletes in Group A, making sure they were getting enough fluids. There was little to no difference in the mean plasma lactate between the 2 groups. Lactate is a substance produced by cells when the body turns food into energy. And there was no difference at all in the mean plasma glucose levels, which measures the athlete's blood sugar level. To conclude, this research was important to do because it shows how having a scientific nutrition strategy can affect an athlete's performance. This study proves to all athletes, not just cyclists, that they need to take their nutrition seriously to optimize their performance and take their skills to the next level. In the future, there needs to be more studies like this, but instead of it just being on cyclists, it should be for all athletes separated by sport. Also, in every sport, there should be a study or multiple studies on how specific macro and micronutrients can affect performance for the better or worse. If these studies come to be, many athletes will have more success because they will have a better understanding of how to correctly fuel their bodies.